How's it going, everyone? My name is Khalid. I'm the indie game developer of Miko Adventures Puffball, and I have a great news about Miko. The game is actually participating right now in the GDWC competition. You can vote for the game. I have the link in the description. Basically, it's very easy. All you have to do is click the link and click the vote button on the top of the page, and everything should be good.
Play as Miko, a lost raccoon in the action platformer Miko, Adventures of Puffball. Miko is transported into another dimension, and your goal is to help him find his way back home.
I'm also working on my next project, Melted Fate. More details about my next project will be revealed in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and the bell button so you don't miss any new videos. With that being said, let's get right into the video. So one of the viewers asked me to do a video about save and load in GDevelop. So I'm going to show you how it basically works. And the idea is very simple, and once you get it, it should be very simple. Walk you through how to create like a checkpoint system, how to save when you exit from a scene, and how to get creative with the system in general. Ignore this fireball, it's for the previous video. If you haven't checked it out, please check it out if you want to make your character shoot fireballs. And we have this floor, simple floor, and I have here a point A and a point B, and then the next object, which is this one. This will let us go into the other scene, and the other scene have here a switch. Let's call this a switch. And this is a back object. Basically, when the character is in collision with it, it will go back to the scene one. Now here is what we are going to do in this video. If we click the preview button, here we have this cute bunny that can shoot fireballs. If I go to the A position or checkpoint, let's call it checkpoint, and then I close the game and then I preview again, it will be at the A position. Now if I go into the B position, close the game and preview, it will stay at the B position. It's saved its location. Now if I go into the next scene, go to this switch, pressing E to activate it, and then I'm gonna close the game, and then I'm gonna preview, and notice how I started in the scene 1 and it saved my like where I exited. I exited from scene 2, so the game loaded from scene 2 and the switch is still activated. If I go back and let's say I stayed at B, close the game and preview, it will load at 1 and at scene 1, and I respawn at the B location. If I go back, the switch is still activated. So that's how you save, and we're gonna explain how all of this works. Now first we have the go to scene 2. Basically, if the player is in collision with this object here, then we go into the next scene. Now, how the save and load works. Basically, it works from something called storage. We create a storage. So this storage, we call it something. So as you can see here, the storage name, I call it save. In that storage, we're gonna have groups. These groups are going to be what we are going to save. Basically, it can be a position, it can be anything, like the health of the player, amount of enemies, or anything that you want to save. And then we connect this group to the scene variable so we can read it into the engine. At the beginning of the scene, we read this value in the storage, which is save, and we store it in a scene variable. Now here's what happens. If I click on preview, and we're gonna see how it actually works. Okay, so as you can see, the player is in collision with A. Now we're gonna go into the A position. So the player now is in collision. What happened? We wrote 1 in position of the storage save. So the storage save have a group called position. We wrote 1 into that position. Okay, now when we write 1 in the position, I have a variable that's connected to that group. So when the variable position, scene variable position equals to 1, which I actually wrote 1 here, we're gonna change the position of the player and set it to whatever here, the position of point A. Now let's see how this actually looks outside of the engine. So it basically saves something like this. It's called save, which is the storage, and then it has the groups, of course. Okay, so and it has the groups. Now we wrote one in this position. Now of course I created this text just to explain how it works, but it's very similar to what it actually does. It will remove this 0 and then input 1, and then the game will read this value and then will change the position here to here, because the scene variable position equals 1. Okay, now if I go into the point P, the same happens. If I go into the point P, now let's say we saved. Okay, let's go and load this. So I'm gonna exit the game and then review. Now what happens? So I like spawn at the same location. Basically, at the beginning of the scene, we read the position from the storage save, and then we store the value in the scene variable. So when we read the position, it's actually wrote 1 in that group, and then stored that 1 into the scene variable position. When the scene variable position equals to 1, it will put the player position to here. That's how it works. And this is how most of the idea works, actually. If we try to go into the point P, same thing happens. We changed the position to number 2. We wrote 2 in the group position. And then when the scene variable position equals 2, then we change the position of the player to the point P. And this is basically how saving a position works. Now, let's talk about this. So we're gonna go into this scene. Now I've created here this weird block. Let's call it a switch, okay? And then let's see what actually happens. So I'm gonna put this preview here. We're gonna go into the events to explain everything. Okay. Now we're gonna just concentrate on these. Okay. Now, again, at the beginning of the scene, we read. I just called the group a spin switch in the storage save, and we store the value in a scene variable called spin switch. Okay. Now, when the player is in collision with switch, so we're gonna go and be in collision with the switch, and then the E key is pressed. We're gonna write 1 in the spin switch. So this spin switch has changed from 0 to 1. So it had changed. Let's write another one. Of course, you don't need to do this step. I'm just showing you how it actually works. It was 0, and then we wrote 1. Okay. And we store the value in the spin switch scene variable. So it equals 1. And when it equals 1, we're going to rotate switch at this speed, which is actually happening right now. And now, if I exit this scene and then a preview, it will load what's actually has been saved, which is the value. So we read, and it now, because it's changed from 0 to 1, it has been written into the text, and now it's 1. So when it's 1, it will rotate. So the switch is activated. It's exactly the same as the position. You can actually get really creative with stuff like this. Like you can save if you removed something from the scene. You can save if you created something into it. If you enable the switch, if you close the door, and so on. It's all the same, and it's all very simple. Now, we're gonna go and explain something else, which is how the game restores which scene you closed the game from. So here at the beginning of the scene, I made another group called scene exit, and I saved it in the same storage, and I stored the value in the scene exit. Okay, now if the player is in collision with this object next, we're gonna write 2 in the scene exit. Okay, and when it's 2, then we're gonna change to scene 2. And another thing that happens is the position also changes to value 3. So when it changes to value 3, the player will be set here. So it makes sense when I go back, it will be here, okay? Now once I've activated this, I can go into the scene 2 and then do the same thing, but I'm gonna write 1 in the same variable. Okay, it's basically the same. We're gonna read the scene exit. We're gonna write 1 instead of 2. Okay, and then when it's 1, I'm gonna change the scene to 1. Now, if I exit the game from 2 and then go to scene 1 and actually open it, it should open level scene 1, but actually it will open 2 because I exited the game on scene 2. If I did the same, exit the game on scene 1, go to scene 2 and preview, it will open scene 1 because I exited the game on scene 1. And this is something that you can use in your game while saving the position of the player always. Like for example, if the player just quit the game suddenly or something, it will stay in the same scene, and you can always save the position of the character all the time. Like instead of using checkpoint like these, you can actually save its position in every single position the character is in all the time. So yeah, player don't lose progress or anything. You may be wondering, how do you remove a variable from the game? For example, we closed and we were hitting the B position, and now if I preview, I'm gonna always be in the B position, but I don't wanna start in the B position, for example. Now I can basically disable the read position, so it will reset the position of the player right in where you put it here. Okay, or I can enable this one, and then I'm gonna write 0 into the position. When it's 0, then it's not activated, and if I update, it will change the position of the player to the original position. So these are two ways to stop this. Also, you can actually delete an element from the storage, or if you want to remove the whole storage, you can actually do so. So for example, if you have a storage for saving inventory stuff or objects, and you want to like disable all of this or delete it all, you can actually do so from this event right here. For me, I actually use this one instead of disabling read, because I actually can write whatever I want in the element and change it how I want. And basically, when you do this, basically what happens in the text, we disabled the read for position 1, so it skips this one and then starts reading from the rest. Okay. And that's it. That's the whole the idea behind saving and loading in your game. And you can really get creative with stuff like this, especially in games where you have like an open world and stuff, and a lot of values and stuff. You know, you talk to this person, so you don't want to see the same text again, so you save it when you don't want to see the text again, or when you finish talking to him. You have found the key, then you close the game, then you save that you got the key in your inventory. Now you go into to open the door, then close the game, and then reopen it again, and then the door is actually opened, still open, because you actually got the key for it and saved the value for it, and so on. It's all about values like these that we change, and it's always very simple once you get the idea. I know it's it might be a bit difficult to understand at first, but I highly recommend like put this video on repeat and listen to it more than one time to get the whole idea behind it. And once you do, trust me, you will get really creative in how you save stuff. And that's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching and you think it was helpful, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. It really helps the channel. And I'm trying to, gain more subscribers and increase, I'm actually I have a lot of ideas coming for videos. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell for notifications and new videos. And of course, if you have any questions regarding GDevelop or want to see how to do something, let me know down in the comments. I always read the comments. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.